But
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
It is waiting to happen.
This is part 2, I think, of the inaugural first, and that's redundant, one of those words, the first podcast of 2020, which is how your vision should be, Donald.
We've still got that theme music.
Mick.
Michael, what do you think about
Just
the
before
theme
we
music?
start,
I'm happy with the theme.
I want to have a crack at doing this. This was some of the best stuff. This is why Bill Ferg can't get enough of us, and we can't get enough of Bill. We interviewed the week before last. You were on furlough, as a matter of fact. I think you were down the Antarctic with Bill getting sea sponges or sea slugs or cucumbers or something. And we had Fiona Byrne on, and I'd got into Fiona. I had got, when I say got into Fiona Byrne, I had started to ask her about why. Don had asked her out to lunch, and I thought, hello, there's something going on here. Don, unbeknownst to me, asked Fiona Byrne out to lunch, never met her before, and I thought, wow, this is going well. And I said to Fiona, being a bit salacious and a bit bloody controversial, I said, what do you find attractive about Don? And she said, oh, Sam, please. I said, no, does he float your boat? And then Don thought he'd changed the subject, and this is the subject he changed it to. This made me laugh out loud. I'm going to see if we can replay it. So just think we've come off asking Fiona Byrne, would she actually roll over Don at any stage? And then Don changed the subject to this. So here we go.
You being a country girl, you might be able to come in on this. Now, at Mount Gambier.
Yes.
Now, Mount Gambier is not connected to a rail line. Did you realise that?
No, I didn't realise that.
So the bus runs from Mount Gambier twice a day to Warrnambool.
This is
where the
extraordinary.
nearest train station is.
Have a listen.
You ready for this? Let's hope it's going to be a clinger, because so far it's going nowhere. So, the bus runs to Warrnambool. Gee, this will have people riveted. They'll be pulling over in their droves on the side of the M1 listening to this. Victoria, what is it called? Vic Rail? It is Vic Rail. Yeah. The trains that run on those lines. They provide a bus. Yeah. On the return journey. It stops at, one goes through to Mount Gambier. The second bus, would you believe, stops at Haywood. Now, do you know where Haywood is? No, we don't. It's 80 kilometres short of Mount Gambier.
I know, Mick. I know you're shaking your head in disbelief. Listen!
Again.
The bus continues on to Mount Gambier, empty, followed by the people who've come from Mount Gambier to pick up their relatives or passengers.
Just Basil Faulty.
Burns' eyes were going around like Catherine wheels in her head at this stage. Listen.
You haven't been on the Bolivian bush of sugar, have you? What in God's name are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about Vic Rail. We want to change the subject. It's a country topic. So we changed it to that, did we? We did.
Wow.
We went from... Melissa Horn is the minister in charge of transport in the Victoria government. Why doesn't she address that problem? Well, there you are. Write something about that, Fiona, when you're apologising to Mick.
Oh, Sam. Look, you did promise some left-of-centre topics. Yes, and I didn't expect something to be quite that...
Well, what's in your book?
Righto.
Heston Blumen's...
Well,
What about that for a pickup line?
Don...
The bus trip from Mount Gambier.
And have a guess where he got it from. Barney Rubble, what's his name? Barney McCusker from Mount Gambier, the orthopaedic surgeon.
And I've got a letter following next week
rang
too.
up Don and
from
said, hey, if you want something to speak about on your podcast, do the train line to Warrnambool and then Haywood and then on to Mount Gambier with the bus returning with no one in it. He said that will be interesting. Do you know who that's interesting to? The 8 people who live in Mount Gambier who actually get the bus.
Did you and Fiona embark on that trip?
What the Haywood Mount Gambier?
Which leg do you think she'd prefer out of those two?
Don, you must have got halfway through that while you were speaking live and thought, I don't know if I'll go on with this, but you did. In fairness to you, that is just extraordinary. That stuff. That made
that's what exists down at Mount Gambier for those residents who want to travel to Melbourne by train.
Now, Sammy, talking about Fiona Byrne, and we had a little skirmish a couple of weeks ago.
Who, you and Fiona?
Well, yeah, just in print. She interviewed Todd Woodbridge on Sunday, the Sunday Herald Sun.
Yes.
And Todd's probably not the most dynamic person in the media,
Yes.
but his story was very, very good. Did you bother to read it?
No.
He used to live next door to Tiger Woods in that gated community.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
I did.
yes,
Yes,
yeah,
Plays
yeah.
tennis
Yep.
with Tiger and
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like
right.
that.
He wanted
Yep.
to slice backhand.
Yeah, well,
I did read
and
that.
Then his brother, Todd's brother, died of a heroin overdose.
Yes.
I mean, isn't it funny when you can get
That's
people
funny.
who are seemingly not dynamic
Yep.
and get to their real story,
Yep.
how interesting they can be. So that's just a tick to Fiona Byrne.
No, she's going well, that girl.
And you've been had
What
designs
I've been.
on her, haven't
What
you?
did you say then?
You've had designs on her, haven't you? I saw you in a very cosy position with her on.
I've had designs on Fiona Byrne.
Well, that's how it looked to me.
What do you?
Well, where did it look to you like that, Mick?
Don offered her the train trip, but you were sort of a bit more pointed than that by my Twitter evidence.
Mick, seriously, mate, you've got to examine yourself. Take yourself down to your summer residence down at Portsea or Sorrento or next to Scott Palmer there and
Okay.
see if you can get inside your brain and have a look at yourself. What do you mean I had designs on Fiona Byrne?
Did you think that, Don?
No, Michael.
Okay, good.
No, Don, yeah, we I won't say what, we had lunch with her, didn't we?
Stokehouse.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Just like the going out in the good cheap
Well,
Venus.
I'll
You've
tell
been
you
out in the
what.
good cheap.
Well, I tell you what, I'd booked for 6 at the Stokehouse, and a couple of people whose names I can't mention, Jacinta and Scott Clayton, they couldn't make it because they had interstate guests. So I had to fill up because the Stokehouse rang and said, "Are your 6 coming still?" And I wasn't game to say no. 2 had pulled out, so I had to. I had a posse, had to just round up a couple of suspects. So Don and Fiona very kindly filled in.
Okay, good.
You put out, are you, Michael?
No,
You didn't
not
get
at
an
all.
invite?
No. If you wouldn't come up for the podcast, you wouldn't come up for a free lunch. Well, you might have.
Now, what about your mate Warnie?
Yep.
And the cap that he's given to the bushfire appeal.
Yes. How much
Yep.
did it raise?
I don't know, but is that the only? Would that be the? You know, when they say his baggy green cap,
Yes.
is that the only one that he has?
Very good point, Mick. We'd need a DNA test on it to make sure it had his hair follicles in it.
Not really, no, but if it is the only one,
Yes,
that is a major
it is. So it's like football jumpers.
major offer. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but
You
football
still got
jumpers,
your
blokes just
foot-
get jumpers out of wrappers and sign them and pretend that was the jumper they wore.
No. Have you still got your jumper?
Yeah. Well, I tell
How
you
many
who's-
have you got? How many have you?
I've got the jumper and the boots I played in, the white boots, and the jumper I played my 300th game in a frame, and I gave it to Leashy from LA Smash Repairs, and he has a monument to Geelong, a little museum.
So you gave them away.
Well, I gave it to him on permanent
on
loan,
loan?
permanent loan if you like, and that's got my actual jumper I played in, and I've
Yep.
got a photograph of me actually on the
What
ground.
about your other jumpers?
Well, we had hundreds of them. But this
Well,
is...
I know, but you haven't got any of those other jumpers.
No.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Okay, have you, Don? Have you got
Yeah,
the
I've got
jumper
them.
you wore in 1971?
No, not 71.
Where'd that go?
Yeah, good point. I don't know.
Well,
I've got a few other jumpers.
well, you can
yeah.
bring it along to the to the function when you're made a legend. You can bring it along, and Jeff Kennett might be able to present it to you. We had another heavy round of discussions about you with someone on the board at Hawthorn there, Anne Marie.
Yes, we went to a very nice restaurant,
Yes,
didn't
and
we? Naked for Satan, was it?
Naked
Satan?
for Satan. That's correct. Not what you
Naked
think.
for
It's not a
Satan.
knock
Yeah,
shop or
very
anything
nice
like
place,
that, Mick.
Michael,
It's just
in Brunswick Street.
Yes, it was, Don. And we had another heavy round of why you were belligerent and wouldn't go and,
And
be...
you loved it.
I did
You
love it.
it.
What side was she on? Whose side was she on?
She was
Jeff's.
on that side. I was the
And
one
I
else.
was too. You're
Yeah.
the only...
And
only
I am, yeah.
Yeah, you're the
Now,
only
guys,
person in
now
step.
listen, let's change the subject.
No,
That
we're
hot
not,
day.
We're not leaving before. No, the money stuff.
What money?
Warnie's cap.
Yep.
Well,
What-
your question's a good one about what it might bring.
Yeah, what didn't
But do you think that's a very emotive issue, a decision by Shane to do that?
Well, if it's the only cap he owns, it's a huge decision, I reckon.
Yes.
I want to get onto the bigger picture of who determines where the money goes. Are we going to have a new bureaucracy
Yeah.
set up to to distribute the
It's
money.
like the relief appeals to anything, isn't it? The relief appeals to anything.
Well, this is massive. This is
Yep.
this is $2 billion from the government.
Yep.
And millions and millions, hundreds of millions raised from around the world. I mean, it's a tribute to our race, isn't it?
Benefactors,
Well, just people have been so prepared to,
philanthropists.
and the normal man in the street.
Yep.
Have you given any money?
I gave it the tax office.
I said, would you distribute this for me?
I gave it the tax department.
Okay.
I'm
The
very
amount of
much
money
like-
they take out of us for living.
I am
They
very
can
much
distribute
like
it
you.
on
I'm
my
very
behalf.
dubious as to where it's
Yeah.
going, and I
be
haven't
some
donated
controls.
it because I don't know where it's going to go.
Brendan Nottle.
Yeah, the
might,
Salvo man. Yeah.
Yes, he
But
might
they're
oversee
not
it.
geared to distribute $100 million in relief.
No, they're not, Mick.
No.
Well, this will be
This will be exploited.
this man that you've bagged at every turn. Scott Morrison might set up a parliamentary committee to make sure it's distributed properly.
I'm still
Might be
really
paying
cynical about how
might be
this is.
paying
Why don't we
for
get
those
Why don't we
four-
get Four Corners to run on the ABC? They could distribute it to all their socialist friends and give it to no
Talking
one
about-
who
Hey,
actually
John, if
votes
you had
Liberal.
$100, Don, and you were going to give it, would you give it to wildlife or to people?
Wildlife,
You like wildlife more than people, don't you?
yes.
What would you contribute? Shane's given the baggy green.
No, I haven't even thought about
What
it.
about
But just
that
talking
waste-
about the fire,
Yeah.
I'd just like to bring it to your attention that
Yep.
I think one of the greatest dangers or catastrophes that could happen is where you've got your holiday home. 2 roads out of that place, and it's covered in tea tree, and it's full of oil, and it would just explode. I think it could be a disaster
Yeah,
waiting to happen.
This is
Michael.
Australia.
No, well,
This
it
is the
but
Mornington
this is the
Peninsula.
Mornington Peninsula. Is it? Don knows it better than any of us. I woke up yesterday morning, Sammy, in Sorrento,
Did you?
and
Your bed?
in my bed by myself.
Hadn't been scouting
And-
around and just
Oh, he's
got
been
lucky
doing plenty
at
of
one
that.
of the local hosteleries.
Yes, he
just-
has.
I headed off
Baked
to-
at Sorrento.
I
or
headed off to
Portsea.
the kitchen. Actually, the smell of smoke was that strong that I instantly,
Lizzie
and
smoking
momentarily,
again?
will you shut up? Momentarily thought that there were fires on the peninsula.
I'd wake up to the same, Michael.
And just reminded me of Don's point about if someone started the fire down there in an inopportune place,
Good luck.
anything could happen, couldn't
Good
it?
luck. No, I'm very, very serious.
Where would
Good luck.
Where would you know where I live? Should I go to a beach or the footy ground?
Michael,
or
you
where?
wouldn't even make the back beach.
That's it.
That's from my balcony. I can't see the closest building in the city, and I can usually see people working at their desks. I can't even see the building. That's
Yeah.
the smoke.
Well, that's
coming
good to
from.
show on a podcast. No one
Well,
else
I mean,
can
it's
see
just
it.
indicating. So, Mick, this is the trouble with living in Australia. We live in a green, leafy suburb and city, and any place. My son lives out at Sassafras. My other son. I mean, if the Dandenongs catch fire,
Well, they did.
Yep.
In
I
our time,
know.
they did in the 60s or 50s.
and I know it sounds not disrespectful, but fancy. I'm serious about firemen and firefighters. What is the point of it? And people say, well, that's a disgraceful thing
Wait
to
till
say.
your house catches fire, Sam.
So if I'm living in the Dandenongs,
No,
and-
say you're living where you live.
well, you won't have people from the country fire authority come in a truck with some a
but you'll
tank
have
full of
firemen,
water
though.
and some knapsack sprays to put out my house. You'll have a proper Metropolitan Fire Brigade come with proper hoses and put it out. That's what'll happen.
You still think they're using knapsacks in the bush, are they?
Well, you see them putting out burning embers of logs when the whole forest is on fire, and they're actually putting out a log. I'm not sure.
You're a log.
Yeah, no. Seriously, they're fantastic people, but
Well, talking about the fires, what about with the press releases? The chap that gets up, I just wonder, how do you get those bars across your chest? I thought they were only reserved for army people.
That's a reward if you catch that train to Mount Gambier.
so you're saying like army?
Well, you know the army colours or bars.
Yes.
I've never been to war, but my father came back and I've
return TPI veterans.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, does that fellow that gets up on the television, is he a returned soldier or does he get that for services to the CFA?
It's a very good
Probably
point.
the latter, I'd suspect.
What, to the CFA?
Seeing-
CFA
seeing
is
as
a
a fireman.
doesn't that
Doesn't that water it down for the guys that actually went to war?
Yeah.
The guys in the First World War,
They're
Second
different
World
medals,
War.
aren't they?
No, he's saying, well, they're
The
colours.
CFA have struck an award
you're
for
actually
themselves.
wearing medals here.
What do you mean?
What's that thing on your vest?
You got a watch coat.
Yeah, that's a
and
watch.
Watch
Well,
chain.
Shane?
Why don't you donate to the bushfire appeal? That to the bushfire appeal. That as worn by Don Scott, a watch chain and
I walked into Bunnings the other day on that 41 degree day, Monday.
Yeah.
Now, could you believe they have their air conditioners going and 2 big doors open? I thought we had an energy crisis. You talk about climate change. We've got to stoke Bunnings up to keep it cool. The cool air is just flowing out of those 2 big doors. You reckon they could close those doors and conserve a little bit of energy, wouldn't you? They think of nobody but themselves.
maybe there was a truck coming to get a delivery of timber
What about
for
them?
a client who'd bought some and they had
Well, I
to
didn't
back
know
the
that's
truck
the third
in.
door where the truck goes in. I didn't think of that. Down the tradesman centres. 3 doors open.
Was this Bunnings at Dramana?
Mornington.
Mornington.
Why were you out in the 41 degree heat, Don? You
Had
should have
nothing
been
else to do, Johnny. Nothing else to do.
Okay. How'd you spend your Christmas, John? I haven't seen you since then.
Of course, Mick, in order to do the podcast with Don and I, you got to turn up every now and again. We've been down to Bill Ferg's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Been out in the good ship Venus.
Geez, you've had a few social events, you two.
Oh, yeah, and they've been all with Don. How well am I going? Seriously. No, so Bunnings, you weren't happy with Bunnings, Don. And now Alex Rance.
Yes.
I made an inquiry with Alex because I know him reasonably well, and I said, would you be interested in coming on? Well, I didn't say, would you be interested? I said, would you come on a podcast and have a chat? We speak to people in the news and people who are stars, and he's a star. And he said he was just laying low for the... I'm not sure what he was laying low.
Why is he laying low? I thought he'd retired from
I'm
football.
not sure why he's laying low, but he said he was just taking some time off over in another state.
Where he comes from, WA.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to mention
Well,
that.
they're hardly
but
going to be.
all
That's
right.
narrowed down to the second biggest state in the
All right.
country.
Well, I didn't know that's where he came from. And I said, I'm not going to stalk you, but we might revisit the fact that he could come on, and he didn't dismiss it out of hand. But you now tell me that, did you not say he was going to play in 60 days, or he's coming? So the man...
Who are you looking at?
Well,
The man you can't mention. Don't mention his name.
Well, don't mention it, Don Rodlaw. He said that maybe in 60 days there'd be an announcement that he was coming back to the fold.
Why 60 days?
Because Rod's
I see.
understanding is that in the faith of Jehovah's Witness,
Yes. There's a cooling off period. No?
What, is Rod an expert?
no, in what?
Well, go on.
Well, I
60,
don't
what's
know.
60 days got to do with...
Well, I think it's to do with if there's a breakup
JWs.
of the marriage, and you can't work. This is just
Is he broken up with his marriage?
yes, he
I
has.
see.
Yeah,
I get you.
and he,
Go on, stupid.
and there needs to be a 60-day break from his normal.
Jeez, I wish we'd... wish we'd had a 60-day break.
Oh, Barbara's there.
Barbara, my
Your
first
first wife.
is sitting over here.
Yeah.
And she,
did
before
you- how
you
did
even
you-
got those words out, she said, I wish we'd had a 60-day break.
Where did you meet Barbara?
Barbara?
Hey?
Where did you meet Barbara?
No, we're not doing that.
Yes, we are. Oh,
That's the best story.
that is... Oh.
No, well, in deference to my first wife,
Yep.
who is sitting over there,
Yes.
it's embarrassing to her, and I'm not going to do that to her.
Oh, you're playing that card. You're suddenly worrying about people's feelings, are you?
I'm worried about her feelings.
Okay,
I
well,
was
that's-
actually married to her.
And rightly so, and a fair point.
Well, there you are.
What's Barbara doing here, actually?
It's because we're going to see a friend of ours shortly, a mutual friend of ours called Nigel Murch.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
He's
Yeah.
not well, Murchie, is he?
Well, we're going to both find that out.
Well, you know he's not well.
Well, so...
Well, I know his wife.
Who?
yeah,
Whose
you
wife?
used to go out with his wife, Michelle.
That's her.
Did you have coffee with Michelle?
Well,
More than
occasionally,
You
yeah.
tipped her over at one
Oh,
stage, didn't
did
you?
I really?
Did you? You
Where?
could have
George,
been. You
you've got
could
a
have been
litany
with
of
her.
women.
I
Why
could've-
don't you come down and see if she's there with Nigel? You might be able to snip her.
Snipper.
Yeah, tell you might be able to whisk her away in the back
I
of your
thought you were
truck.
going to ask her for some money.
You're the best. You are the best.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's overrated. I mean, it's
What's overrated?
It's exaggerated.
What, sex?
What?
Well, I went out with Michelle Telford, so how does that make me anything?
Well, I
Michelle
saw you down
Michelle
at Baked at
Telford.
Sorrento
Who's
too.
Michelle Telford?
Murchie's wife.
Oh, Michelle?
Yeah.
I never knew her name.
That's it.
So what was overrated about her?
No, nothing. I'm saying
What?
Don Scott trying to paint me as some sort of
Casanova.
modern day. What's
Yeah.
that? Lotharia.
Yeah, walking around with
Yes.
your open neck trousers. Yeah.
God, I went for lunch at Baked at Portsea, and
Yeah.
here you are.
And I called out to you and said, Donald,
And I joined you.
why don't you join us? You scrubby looking.
Us.
Yeah.
Okay,
So Nigel, no, he's not well. Has he got emphysema?
well, I don't know. He says
do
he hasn't.
so, no.
Well, he says he says he hasn't got emphysema. He says he's
just
just got
can't
lazy
breathe.
lungs.
Is he still on the darts?
Oh, only about 70 a day. He's cut him right back. So I think he's probably not worried about emphysema at this stage. But we're going down to check on him.
Good.
And his son is married
Yeah,
to
James. Married to
Catherine.
Kathy Freeman.
Catherine Freeman. Yes.
Is it true? Yeah, you'll know this story.
Oh, God,
Is it
this
true
will be
that,
good.
that Murchie said to his two kids, now look, I'll have nothing to do with your lives and who you end up with so long as you don't bring home a black person or a Catholic. Is that true?
I don't think that's true, is it, Barbara? No, Barbara, don't tumble into that. I don't think he ever said that. I'll tell you, I can tell you. She said the Catholic part is wrong. I can tell you a very, very humorous, but even I can't say this word because it's just, you're not allowed to say this word. But Nigel used to have a nickname at school. This is 60 years ago.
Nigg.
Yes,
Yeah.
he used to. And if you can work out what it used to be, and everyone used to call him that name. And it was no reflection on race or anything, but because his name was Nigel, N-I-G.
We used to have nigger boy licorice in those days. Sam.
Thank you, Mick, you've said the word. Right.
Licorice.
So he goes down with Catherine. He goes down with Catherine and his son to a resort. And someone he went to school with said, while he's standing next to Catherine, not sure if I can say this, said, "G'day, nigger," to Nigel. And Nigel immediately turned to Catherine and said, "That man is speaking to me. Please don't take offence." And it was a very awkward situation. Yeah. I'm not sure, even speaking about that word, we should put that to
No, I don't think there's anything. I mean, that's an interesting indication of how the values have changed from when Murchie was young.
Yes, and them not having nigger boy licorice, Mick, as you just said. I think probably I think Nigel's story is probably a little more palatable than you saying they used to have that licorice brand. I'm not sure you should have said that. But anyhow, now, Donald, I
was going to give you another Nigel Murch story.
Yeah, go on.
Well, he's playing down at, so the story goes, he was playing cricket at East Malvern, I think it was, one of those things, and, he's a medium fast bowler.
Oh, we hate that, he was fast.
Yeah.
And, the bloke hit him and he said, "Oh, you're getting too old and whatever else, you're not much good from, after he... So Nigel let him have it the next ball. He ran over the crease and let the ball go from halfway down the wicket.
Yeah. Sconned him.
Sconned him.
Sconned him.
Put him and also got a micro ambulance. He was taken to intensive care where he spent that part of the summer in an iron lung. He's only just been released. And this was in 1979.
He was a contemporary of yours, wasn't he?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Trough Boy, that's right, he was there.
Oh, that was a
right.
funny. Oh, yes. Going to the football with those two.
Do that again, Don. Give that story another run.
No, not the Trough Boy. You and Nigel, that was an education for me, going to the football with you and the members. I think Nigel went through the man's lunch in front. He had his sandwiches, so Nigel just went through those as he was standing up.
Did he? Is that the day Sam had the fight in the toilet?
Oh, yes.
that was
Go,
another
do that
time.
again. Yeah. Go on, do that again. And then what was the other one? You made one up. I said I had road rage 48 years ago. Don, do you remember that? I said, what? You said, when you got out of the... I didn't. You just make it up, Don. You just honestly make it up. You do.
You cause road rage now. You sit in the left lane driving at 48k an hour.
Oh, yeah, sorry. What, in a 40 zone or a 50 zone? Yeah.
On the
How many
open
points
road.
you got on your licence? Hey, so, let me ask you that.
Let me.
Let me ask you, how many points you got on your licence? No, seriously.
I took it as serious.
Well, go on then.
Well,
Give us an answer.
I've been as high as 11 or 12.
So you got 12 points on your licence.
Not anymore.
Well, how
What
many
do you got now?
2 or something.
Okay, and Don, you've just driving very carefully because
my word, I'm
you're on
driving
probation. You'd done all the points, and they said, well, you can get none for 3 months, and they'll come back. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So I've
So I'm
had no
driving
points.
very carefully.
I've had no points registered on my licence for anything. Phone, speed, red light camera, anything for 15 years.
Good boy.
15 years.
You're a model citizen, Johnny.
And this because I drive at 48 in the left-hand lane, and if you want to whiz by, you go right ahead.
Okay.
In that lane, you're making a hell of a noise in that bloody Mustang. You're going to put a muffler on it?
Don.
Noise
It's just like-
pollution.
thank you for that, Don. We'll have the coppers now monitoring me driving around. Just ease up what you say on these forums, Don, please.
Yes, Donald.
Donald, please. Where's your trousers? No, there's nothing wrong with my Mustang.
Is there anything, any
Sacrosanct.
update on Donald and his legend status?
Well, so
No,
Don.
there's nothing. Mickey, there's got to be something more intelligent to talk about.
No, intelligent.
really?
Well,
I'm just looking here for
Just
my
ruled
notes
yourself
or
out of that
something.
debate,
Yeah,
Don.
I know.
No, we went out with Anne-Marie, who is a doctor and is on the board at Hawthorn, and we sat there, and Don was thanking her, and he paid for the lunch.
And you.
What?
And you.
And you.
You.
What do you mean, and you?
Thanking you as well.
Yes, that's what I was saying. He was thanking her and me for organising Don to be taken out of...
When he had the parrot flu?
Yes, that's right, taken out of...
Chlamydia. That's what is chlamydia?
Guantanamo.
The doctor,
Chlamydia?
Chlamydia.
It's an STD, Don.
Well, that's what I had.
So Don
the
was-
doctor rang yesterday.
Don was in
It's not a long-distance phone call anymore either.
What? He
STD.
said I had chlamydia or what? What is it?
Chlamydia, that's what koalas get.
Yeah.
So
Are you an animal?
So
had it?
Don was locked up in Guantanamo Bay down at the local hospital down in Frankston, and we thought...
Don't say that.
Well,
What?
that's what we thought it was.
You've got no idea, Michael. It was shocking.
There you are. I was about to expand on. So we got him up to, Anne-Marie got him up to Epworth there, where we
St.
put him in
Vincent's.
an isolated ward for bird flu and
Chlamydia.
mad cow disease and chlamydia. And
Chlamydia, what is it?
yeah,
It's an STD.
sexually
What is an
transmitted-
STD?
Sexually transmitted disease.
You don't know what
Or
STD
subscribe-
means.
Yeah, I got the blood test yesterday and he said you got a form of chlamydia.
Well, you've been with any koalas lately?
You didn't know what STD meant.
I didn't. I got the report. I had just had a blood test and I spoke to John
You got
Daffy, the
chlamydia.
doctor.
Well, you better put a towel down over that seat you're sitting on, because these are my chairs.
What do you do with your chairs?
Well, I sit on them. I don't want to get chlamydia through me aort because he's sitting on it. Will I? Can you get chlamydia through your aort?
Through your what? Your heart.
Yeah, your aort.
What happened to his legend status?
Anyhow, I said to Anne-Marie, I said, could you reinstate negotiations and a dialogue with Jeff Kennett, at which stage Don slammed the table down and said, I don't want to speak to that man. And we said, well, we're trying to just gild the lily a little and seeing if Anne-Marie can smooth over the waters so that we don't make this any bigger than it's already got. Oh, no, he wouldn't. And then he told us why he didn't like Don Scott. Oh, why he didn't like Jeff Kennedy. He said, have a listen to this. This will stagger you. He said he was 18 at a party. 18, he's 70. He said 18. I said, geez, you can hold a grudge. 52 years ago, he was at a party and Jeff Kennedy was standing up speaking to people politically about something, and Don said, that man is an egotist and he's a politician. Jeff was 19 at the time. And he said, I said, so you don't like him because he was up speaking politics at a function 58 years ago? And Don said, yes, that's correct. I said, geez, you can hold a grudge.
Is that true? What? Wow.
Okay.
It's an extra dimension on...
So,
Donald?
Mick, so we're up and running for year 2 of the podcast.
Yeah.
Are we going to change the music?
Well, I wanted to change the music
What
from
to?
Maxine Nightingale.
What about one of your songs off that CD?
Yes, or I could sing it for you live every day.
No, don't sing
I've
live.
got you
No, it's
under
all
my
right.
skin.
We could doctor the CD.
I've got you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart that you're really...
No.
I've got chlamydia. I've got chlamydia under my skin.
You have more than your skin.
Righto. Well, and I said we'll go out with we'll get we won't have Daddy Cool singing.
No, of course. Why? Of course, we'll change it because it's worked.
Yeah.
What's worked?
The 2 songs we've had. Martine, what's the Nightingale's name?
Martine.
Maxine
Maxine
Sang at
Nightingale.
Night Barclay
dumbass.
and
Square.
Daddy Cool.
Yeah. And I reckon we could have gone out. We could have gone out with this. We could have gone out with this.
We could go out with a lot of things.